Raoni Barcelos versus Timur Valiev. Lucky Timur Valiev. I'm so happy, AJ, because when we were kind of doing our prep for these fights and whatnot, this was the featured prelim. And at the last minute, it got bumped up to the main card. And that's where it belongs. Honestly, I think this fight could be a headliner in and of itself. Maybe that's just me sometimes. But sometimes, AJ, like, don't get me wrong, right? To us, this is our job. This is what we got to do. We got to study this stuff, right? But when I kind of put that out there, this could be a main event. I can guarantee there's probably a ridiculous amount of people who are, more casual fans or who are like, who the hell are these guys? Why would I watch that? And it's like, you don't even know, man. So Raoni Barcelos, man, the man of much skill, man, a very dangerous fighter. He opens up as a -220 favorite with a +180 comeback for Timur Valiev, and that is probably the biggest plus number you're going to see next to Valiev's name in quite some time, especially depending on the outcome of this fight. AJ, first thing that I need to note, did you know that Timur Valiev, he's obviously, I don't know if he's training with him currently, but he has historically been Zabit Nurmagomedov's training partner. Did you know that? This dude trained out of DAG fighting for a while. I don't know if he does anymore, but I do know that this dude is over at Jackson Wink MMA fighting out of, good old New Mexico, right? You already got to show the man some love just from that right now. You know he's coming out of a good camp. I don't think we ever talked about it, or maybe we did for a second in a post show, but Clarissa Shields, right? She says, I'm the greatest women boxer. Let me go out to Jackson Winks real quick, get ready, and she wins her MMA debut, man. So listen, Jackson Wink, they got the juice over there still. 16-1 is Raoni Barcelos, 17-2 is Timur Valiev. How often, AJ, in recent memory, do we get a matchup like this where it's two nearly undefeated fighters, two dudes who are at the pinnacle of the game, more or less, right? Because they're not all fighting absolute killers. I think Barcelos has had a much more tougher strength of schedule than Valiev so far. But how often do we see this? Are you really hyped about this? I feel like we're in for a treat in this one.
Oh, yeah, we're in for a treat. And we actually, what's weird about this one to me is we'll see this a little more often where we get two basically up-and-coming guys who are kind of almost undefeated, really on a starward track, but they were put on the prelims. Yeah. So that's what was blowing my mind, man. I saw that I was going to make it a sleeper because I was like, how can this fight be on the prelims? And then it got switched up. And I was like, all right, this makes a lot more sense. We're going to get these dudes some shine. They're the third to last fight on the card, excuse me. But we see it a lot more. And I think it comes from a little bit more of the heavier classes, the 55s and ups. Since they're 135, I think that's what's stopping them from getting that shine. But really, man, this one has some potential, Derek, man. This is a lot of fun. Raoni Barcelos, he likes to fight loose, long. He's a very bouncy Brazilian, so we know he got that ground game going. Strong kicks and very powerful for 135. And what I like him about him, man, he's very sharp. He has this very sharp striking, very explosive. It's going to be a lot of fun. But like you said, Timur Valiev, I'm not sure how to say it, but either way, he's got great wrestling. Overall, well-rounded. You already said it, Derek. He's fighting out of one of the best camps in the best state in the world. But I gotta give him a little bit of back and forth. I gotta give him credit, but he's a little one-dimensional. We'll see if that changed with all the prep he's getting down at Wink. But he's already, or at least for me, like you said, we do this a lot. We watch these fights. I think he's all a little one-dimensional. He's gonna shoot for that takedown, and we kind of know where it goes. You know what I'm saying? If Barcelos is able to stop that, that's what I'm excited to see. If Barcelos is able, or even Barcelos might get taken down and we see some ground game, some jiu-jitsu versus top heavy pressure wrestling, that'll be interesting too. But I really want to see what Timur does when he's actually kind of put up against a fence or maybe even, his takedowns have been stuffed and he's not able to fight the fight he wants to fight. Now, that being said, I don't know if that's going to be because, what are the chances that Raoni Barcelos is able to stand up the whole time, keep the fight on the ground, or keep the fight standing, or work something from his back. I think with Timur Valiev, whatever, he's able to do so well because he's so proficient at that one aspect of the fight game, which is wrestling, kind of like how Khabib was, where he's so good at that nothing can really stop him. Valiev is amazing at top pressure control, so it's going to be one of those position over submission, unless we're surprised and Barcelos pulls out a submission from the bottom. What do you think?
Well, listen, man, that was a very concise, well put together assessment of this matchup, man. But we have a couple of things that are missing, man. I will say Timur Valiev, in his last fight against Martin Day, took a very, conservative, wrestling approach. But the reason why is because in his fight prior to that against a Trevin Jones, he went balls to the wall and got clipped and got put out. Now, did he lose that fight? Absolutely. Is it on his record as a loss? No, it should be, because Trevin Jones popped for marijuana, which is ridiculous, and he should be credited with that win. That is a huge win, but lucky enough for Valiev, man, homeboy got a favor on that one, you know what I mean? So I will say that he has been a little more conservative since that fight. Obviously, it's only been one fight, and this one might turn out a little conservative too. But if there's one thing that we need to note, AJ, is that Raoni Barcelos is absolutely no slouch when it comes to the wrestling department. This dude is a 7-time South American wrestling champion. Timur Valiev, yes, he is a master of sport in pankration and in sambo, and obviously both of these fighters. Here's what I like about this matchup, AJ. Both of these fighters are damn near identical. The main difference I see is Barcelos pressure forward all the time. Timur Valiev could pick you apart going backwards. He can go forward or backwards. It really does not matter. In this fight, I probably expect him to go backwards because, let's be honest, who's stopping the forward pressure of Barcelos? Like, that's going to be a tough task right there. But this is what I got to say about this, AJ. Both of these fighters, right, average about 5.6 significant strikes landed per minute. The main difference is Valiev is much more accurate, about 70% clip. But Barcelos lets his hands go with crazy flurries a little bit more. Both of these fighters, man, they wrestle with their arms and their legs, which I thought was just a signature of the Dagestani wrestling, but clearly not. This dude is just a legit high-level wrestler in Barcelos, and so is Valiev. When it comes down to the takedown defense, and you said you're wondering if he'd be able to stuff the shots, Barcelos got an 85% takedown defense, my man. Like, he don't let himself get put on the ground very often. And in all honesty, the biggest thing that spoke to me is his decision win. It was a unanimous decision win against Said Nurmagomedov. So Nurmagomedov, right, with the name, you already get hyped up. Oh, look at that, Nurmagomedov. Yeah. That's not the big key. The big key is Said Nurmagomedov is one of the Nurmagomedovs that throw majority of spinning shit, kicks, crazy strikes, all of that. He threw like 50 spinning back fists, you know what I mean? Crazy spinning back kicks and whatnot. But he is a dude who can wrestle with the best of them, but he's like, nah, that's boring. I want to knock you out instead, right? Barcelos, I don't think he allowed not one takedown, and I think he even took down Nurmagomedov, if I'm not mistaken. At the end of the day, AJ, these dudes are more or less clones to me. And what's going to be interesting is this going to pan out the way that we expect it to in terms of a crazy kickboxing match, or will it be the wrestling? I really do not know. I don't know, but I will say that Barcelos, I think he has the advantage in the hands, man. That's the big difference in this one. Would you agree with that assessment? Because Barcelos, when he lets those hands go, it's a short night for a lot of his opponents. For Valiev, he does a lot of his work with his kicks. And I don't know if you saw it in the Trevin Jones fight. I believe he threw a how would you say it? So it's like a Showtime kick, except it was like a Showtime elbow. Like, he jumped off the cage and threw a flying elbow down. Like, these dudes are nuts. They throw crazy front kicks, all of that. But do you agree with that assessment that Barcelos probably has the advantage in the hands department?
Yeah, I would agree. And it's just because he's able to weaponize pace, I think, a little more. Like you said, he throws just crazy blitzes, throws a bunch of combos, and I'd give him a little bit more on that end personally too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The last thing that I got to really say, because like I'm telling you folks, these are just a clone matchup. It's like putting Barcelos versus Barcelos or Valiev versus Valiev, and let's see who fights. Like, you'd always hear the crazy thing. Anderson Silva would say he wanted to fight two people. Roy Jones Jr., when he was in his prime, he was like, I want to fight Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing match, and I would love to fight my clone to see how, who would get the best out of that. Anderson Silva versus Anderson Silva in the prime. Anyways, that's unrelated. The last thing that I got to say here is when I have the stat here, Barcelos has actually only been taken down once in his UFC tenure, and that was versus Kurt Holobaugh in 2018. I believe that was his UFC debut. So like I said, man, this is going to be legit. And let's go picks, man. Let's go picks because I don't know. This is breaking my heart just thinking about it, man. This is going to be such a difficult matchup to call. And in all honesty, AJ, once again, minus 220 plus 180, probably not the right thing. This probably should be a pick 'em again. But give me your pick and why, AJ.
Yeah, man, this is a pick 'em for sure. This is a pick 'em for sure, and I gotta go kind of a little against the grain on this one, Derek. It's gonna be a surprising pick, but I'm going Raoni Barcelos KO round 1. Ooh. I think it's just gonna be a crazy fight where we don't really know what's gonna happen. And in my mind, why I picked this is because it's kind of the opposite of what I'm expecting. I'm really expecting a crazy grind out match, up and down, back and forth, but I think it's going to be something weird we're not seeing because it's the chaos of it. Like you said, it's A versus person A. They're literally fighting the same fighter. Who knows what's going to happen? So I'm going, like I said, against the grain pick, Raoni Barcelos. Sorry, NM fan. I got it. Fans, family. I got to do the KO round 1 against our boy Valiev. Who you got?
Yeah, I will say, folks, listen, it's rare when you got AJ picking against the New Mexico fighters. You know what I'm saying? So listen, obviously he's seeing something, but I'm gonna be honest, AJ, I'm seeing the same thing. But here's the big thing that really like made me go over the edge on it. Timur Valiev doesn't often fall into firefights. He's very, very patient, very careful, and picks his shot very, very well. And for that reason, I think the recklessness of Barcelos, where he's just a little more willing to let those hands and those strikes go, is gonna look better in the optics of the judges. So if this doesn't go to a finish and it does go to a decision, I think Barcelos probably will do enough to get the edge out. And with that being said, I do think it will go to a decision. So I'm going Raoni Barcelos decision win over Timur Valiev. It sucks someone has to lose in this one, but I don't see it being Barcelos.